Well, I think it's time to start this shindig. Are you guys staying here, Mark, or are you going into your studio?
I'll be right back.
Okay. So, we have the artists here tonight, Anton and John and Michael, AKA Baby Boy. And they're going to talk a little bit about their work. I have to show upstairs, and Taylor put a chair here for me, but I don't think I'll talk about my work unless I have a question. But let you guys talk about their work. It seemed to be here. So would you like me to ask you questions, or would you like to just start going, or how would you like to?
You should conduct it, otherwise we'll just sit.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody here? Okay, well, let's start with, let's go in English order, from left to right. Michael, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
You guys ever hear of the Brookfield Zoo?
Yeah.
Well, I live 2 towns over in Western Springs.
Oh,
So I'm there. Yeah, I got invited, obviously journeyed and looked at to be here. It's been a full year waiting for this to happen.
Is it, this is just a question, because he's so far away from everybody, is there any way he could take off his mask?
I don't know if you would feel comfortable with that, would you?
Or speak louder.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you about
Would everybody feel comfortable with that?
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
So when did you start making art? Where did you?
I started painting, buying canvas about 2003. I graduated in 1996 from high school. And, went to Columbia College for about a full year. Did airbrushing. Did a figurative drawing class. But after that, I just noticed there was a lot of mathematics and reading and stuff like that, and it just kind of threw me off from what I wanted to do. And shortly after, my buddies, my friends, kind of, like I said, showed me the canvas and masonite wood, and started painting. So this whole show was a lot of the cubism came from the beginning. When I was not scared, but not confident to, paint big, broad brush strokes. So I developed certain shapes that like a go-to shape where I could just finish off a painting. And it's a good way to tighten things up or loosen things up when it needs to be done.
Where did you get your inspiration?
I'm influenced by Basquiat, and I'm inspired by galleries like this, and just no idea. Nice big stage, and we looked at a closer look at the painting, see the feeling, and make sure make sure it's alive. Make sure it's alive.
How do you make it alive? Does it talk to you? Does it tell you what to do?
Yeah, I never go, like I said, I have the signature shapes, but I never go in
You get on certain shapes a lot.
planning. Yeah, it comes out pretty bold. I may be a bolder painter, but usually I'm done looking at it or working at it maybe in four tries. Kind of get a good balance, and make sure it's pretty. There's beauty in the balance. And really, the last thing I do is just. I'll flip it around a few times. Eventually, you kind of get out of your third eye. You'll see when it's done, or is it looking like thick and rich, like looking full. So I make sure that everything looks fuller. instead of, it just has to look full.
So no, negative spaces, no.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, paintings up there, one's kind of like a solid yellow and, but there, I try to, it's bold. But yeah, yeah, you don't want it to look, by negative space, sometimes it comes off, looking a little cheaper. If there's too much negative space, so I always say thick and rich, or, just, you know, make sure it looks, full. I guess that's up to the painter too. You know, people, you know, walk away from paintings and we might not think they're done.
Right.
Can I say something? You remind me of that period between surrealism and abstract expressionism. And there's two types. There's Salvador Dali, and then there's Juan Miro, and he dealt with shapes. And when that came over to America, de Kooning and Arshad Gorky, they deal with shapes. Do you know those names?
I know those names.
Yeah. And so it's sort of fascinating. You have that organic, it can look like a living thing, and it alludes to something, but it's pure abstraction, which is a very good thing. It means you lay hold of the face of something. It looks at you even though you can't nail it down. Do you take into account that period at all, or does that vocabulary resonate with you?
I was born in 1977,
Okay.
so I'm 43 now.
You're a young kid.
Yeah. I think I've just been a man for like 3 years. Yeah. Turned 40 and been a man for
We don't take a vote on by the girls.
Couple more months, I got a couple more months.
But
Well,
that,
well, moving on that, you know, you said Basquiat. And I mean, I see the stroking of Basquiat, but I don't see much of it, and maybe some of the color. But the social commentary that Basquiat would put in his work is not there. So I think he kind of onto something. I see Matisse.
That's a good one. That's a very good one. Boom, you nailed it.
Yeah. But your colors are really, really good. And that's all natural. So
That's right, color.
that leads me to another question: is are your parents artistic? Do you have any artistic things in your past?
yeah, parents and sisters, they don't paint or draw or listen to that much music, you know.
You did not have that much music?
Not that much music in the house, you know.
So you painted the music instead.
That's right.
You needed to get it.
So you didn't have, what about like school, like high school, and did you take art classes in school?
I knew, yeah, I knew, you know, with the reading and writing, you know, I knew that this was, you know, a way to do this, you know, after. Yeah, I took art classes, like, yeah. I mean, like, I knew from, at least when I graduated, shortly after, I knew that this was gonna be, a passion. It just became a passion, you know, walking around with my, it started with the watercolors, you know, 2002.
That's smart, yeah.
I noticed.
He's into it.
Carrying it around and,
That's how it happens.
I like the way you mentioned that you're inspired by putting them in a gallery and having them seen as well, because a lot of artists maybe sometimes go, well, say, well, I just do it for myself and I make them and that's it, I don't care what happens. You obviously have a little bit of a plan then.
yeah, this is,
You want someone to be involved in a conversation, it's not just for you.
definitely be seen. This is a high point. You know, you hang in coffee shops and bars and some music venues, but this is what I wanted. And the ones I picked out, you know, I picked out 42 paintings, and I looked at them all really careful, and so I figured no matter what, the way they hung them, it would be fine. But it just turned out that I was shocked when I came in there. I was,
You're in good hands.
yeah,
Good job.
great, incredible job.
I mean, I think that the work speaks for itself, so it's, for me, it's sort of like the work makes the gallery go.
That's a nice thing. A lot of museums now, the architects compete with the art and almost overshadow. I think what you brought up earlier about Basquiat and being social commentary, I was thinking about that, and you know, Picasso stayed in Paris when the Germans came in, and he did Guernica, which was a statement about the bombing in Spain. But sometimes, and I get this with your work, sometimes during angst-ridden times, we artists don't have to always be called for to say something in response, but sometimes art can be a retreat, a reprieve, a place for beautiful colors and shapes that are allude to organicness. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's wrong, because I think then the artist can sometimes do social commentary, but sometimes art is medicine. Sometimes you're helping people out. You're soothing their nerves. What music does by the ear, as artists do by the eyes. So it's all right.
Well, on that, let's move over to John for a few minutes. Tell us a little bit about yourself, John. You're crazy fast.
I'm from South Wales. And, grew up in a seaport town on the south coast of South Wales. Newport's an industrial town. Big steel works and so iron ore would come in and the coal from the valley that would go out. Dad was a townie and my mother was from up the valley. So it was kind of, it was a working class sort of left wing kind of place. When I moved to the States in the 1990s, I was quite shocked. I was like, oh, I've fallen off the edge of the political map. So, but I went into art school, fine art department at University in Leeds in the north of England, which was also a big kind of Rust Belt industrial town. And the first year I got there, punk rock happened and the Sex Pistols and the Clash and all these bands suddenly appeared. And painting seemed entirely redundant. And we formed a band. We had a band of art students called the Microns. And 15 years later, I woke up and I moved to Chicago and I had nothing to do. I started painting again. That's the sort of short version.
So
I met some people.
where'd you get to Chicago?
My girlfriend at the time was living in France. And, she was from Chicago. But I've been over here a lot. It wasn't like I set off to make my fortune. I've been to Chicago many times on tour from 85 onwards. And we were on an American record label in A&M Records in the late 80s. And, by 92, the whole thing had kind of fallen apart. I probably thought it was, probably thought at the great ages, 32 or 33, that I was done with music. And I thought, what do I do now? And I met an artist called Tommy Fitzpatrick in Chicago. I actually met him a lot earlier. And he's someone who's really interested in me. He'd seen my drawing. I did drawings for magazines and kind of fanzines and stuff like that. I wasn't really interested in having an art show as such. I just didn't, it wasn't something that really crossed my mind. He basically forced me to have an art show at a gallery called World Tattoo on the south side of Chicago. And I don't know, it was just perfect timing.
I used to work there.
You used to work at
Yeah,
World Tattoo?
runner for Tony.
That's right. Really?
Cigarettes, Rolaids,
Coffee?
coffee.
When was that?
I don't know. I don't remember exactly.
Right, because that was 93 when I started working with him. And, I don't know, it was just, I was kind of scared of him. He was scared of him, he was big. And he used to be a boxer. And it was like, he told me I was going to have an art show. I thought, I can't say no. So I went away and we went on tour that summer with a band. We were in the spring. I know we went all around Europe. And every town we went to, every city, I would get up really early while the rest of the band were like lying in bed hungover. Me and the sound guy would go off and go to, and we, for some reason I didn't really understand, we gravitated towards the medieval bits, like the great Kunsthallers of Germany. We'd always end up down with the Bosches and the Bruegels. It was really strange stuff. I knew I had this art show when I was kind of scratching around for inspiration. I knew loads of things I didn't want to do. I didn't quite know what I wanted to do. So after 15 years of being in the band, I kind of hit on the idea that maybe I will make art about my experience. But there were several veils to be placed over that, so I started making pictures of artists and kind of their relationships to the music industry and to political power bases and things like that. Pictures of people signing their contracts and things like that. Because that's, we've done that, so did Hank Williams. The idea of the musician as a kind of cultural worker was exploited. That was what I was getting at the time. My interest in music got, by being in Chicago being such a fantastic, collaborative environment, supportive environment for artists of all sorts. I went back to music. I thought I'd kind of probably done with it. I began songwriting, writing a lot of songs. I have a band called the Wake Up Brothers now in Chicago, and I've done a lot of solo albums and stuff.
You play guitar?
I play guitar and sing. I play the guitar like a drummer. So I started out as a drummer.
Oh,
So it's all this hand.
yeah.
The guitarist in the Records now says, "I love sound, it's fantastic with this hand." And no, what he does with that's rubbish. But no. So it's mostly rhythmic stuff. But when Tony asked me to make those paintings, to do a show, it was a huge, I think he thought I was just going to go away and make some paintings. But for me, in my head, it was a huge challenge. Because I was, having been through an academic fine art background and rejected it to play music in a punk rock band, which felt fresh and vital and part of the real world, to go back to then and try and find a way to make art. I had to go through a peculiar mental journey where I had to think about, what do I write songs about? I wrote songs. It was easy to make songs about things that seemed relevant, that seemed important. Why couldn't I make paintings? And what was the difference between a painting and a song? And so in the end, like, look at some here that are just song paintings. They're just, it's an image and the lyrics of the song are in it. And as we were talking about before, music and painting, there's definite parallels. A lot of people, brain psychologists and scientists will tell you it's all coming from different parts of your brain.
Now, what part of,
I had to kick the wall down, so that I wasn't.
Kick that wall down.
Yeah, 'cause I was paralyzed. I couldn't make visual art.
question that, material used and overall composition, how you build that up?
Well, what actually happened was, as well, that year, there's a big art school in my hometown at Newport. I heard that they got rid of sculpture classes, painting classes, printmaking classes. And everybody, they were only going to work on computers. And this is 1993, and software wasn't terribly good. And I remember going to the final show, and it was like, we just all made some art with the software that's available. It was just so unimaginative and so predictable. And they thought, artists can be a little naive sometimes. Ooh, technology, wow, that's incredible. It was awful. I thought, I'm gonna go back to making little wooden objects that people hang on walls, see if I can make something, out of a little rectangle that big, see if I can make something that will be interesting. I think that's more of a challenge.
I think what's fascinating is at that time, they had so big plans for the computer and art. And in some ways, the computer's turning into a dystopia. It was utopia, now it's this thing of threatening, of Big Brother, and now, how free are you? So, while here, what this gallery is doing, they're letting us create tangible, textured art. And then also, I think it's interesting, Anton also knew Ed Paschke a little bit.
I met Ed as well through Tony.
Yeah. And you're a little bit, you take a realistic subject and then you really funk it up and move it around and add and take.
Yeah, I always liked hanging on to elements of the figurative.
Yeah.
But a lot of the pictures I did, some people say, you do portraits of country scenes. I said, I'll do portraits of photographs of country scenes. Because I like the idea of the publicity photograph, playing with that.
Yeah.
So get back to the kind of, like, what is that made up of, your overall, like, is that
There's-
some wax involved in that? Is
Yeah,
that-
pastel, oil pastel. It's basically, I like wood. Wood fights back more than canvas.
Okay.
Yeah, you can be more physical with a lump of plywood. And, before I start anything, I paint them all. I paint it all red, and I paint it overpainted, I paint it gold, and I overpaint it.
Huh.
And there's layers of pastel in between, so the whole surface is very unstable. And, you know, it's kind of like you could make things by applying a knife to it, different colors come out, and I paint on top of that. It's, and I use weird materials like office supplies, like whitehead pens, which make very graphic mark rather than blended. But I don't know, it was all very perverse. It was kind of like printmaking, because Tony actually taught, one of the Tony's at an etching studio, and they taught me to make aquatints, which I loved. But it was kind of one of those things like, I got really, really into it and made a bunch of aquatints. But I stopped for 6 months, then I couldn't get back on the bike. It was like, I can't do that again. That was amazing. I had an amazing time doing them, but that's like a very processed. And I like what you said about painting being finished. That's what I had a problem with. I couldn't finish anything. I didn't know when it was finished. And I thought with a printmaking process like etching and aquatints, you have to do all this work and you kind of hand it over to the acid and the print, and then it's done. You can't go back in. And
Finality.
I invented a process for the paintings, which was perverse because it's not a printmaking process because you only end up with one. But it's like I have all these layers of things that I do, and it's kind of almost mechanical, some of the jobs. Some of the jobs are really mundane, but you come out with something at the end and that's it. If you don't like it, throw it in the bin.
I don't want to keep asking the same question, but like in the skeleton on the horseback, the one centerpiece.
Yeah.
Like the gold, is that the process you're talking about where you layer and layer
Yeah.
golds and reds and then you finally build up to a final layer?
Yeah, yeah. And then there's background colours come onto it. In that case, the background colour is black, which is unusual.
Would you scrape off areas?
Yeah, there's a lot of scratching and then.
You know what's interesting about that layer process is it goes back to Ronald Scott too, or before that medieval period.
Well, that's what I liked, old medieval paintings when they flaked off.
Yeah.
And some of the colours, old, there's a lot of paintings like there'd be gold underneath and there'd be red. The gold that they used would leave a red colour.
Yeah.
I liked all these little kind of
Sure,
weird
sure.
patches of it. It was like, for me, it was like almost, these are almost like abstract paintings in a sense. There's something going on, there's just the surface. And then it's got this kind of figurative thing, subject content imposed on it as well.
And then, since medieval in that process, but also children's art, they would put crayon, they put color all down, and then put black ink on. You know that process and scrape off.
Yeah.
So it's sort of playful that way.
Yeah.
And I saw Picasso did that once, and who's the other one? The guy who stood in front of a sculpture.
Henry Moore.
What?
Henry Moore.
Let's go with Henry Moore.
Well, Henry Moore he was like a British sculptor, but
Oh, of course.
he was a war artist. And he painted people in the tubes.
That's
Down, and he used that process, and that's interesting. That's my favourite thing. And he used wax crayons, then he applied watercolor.
Dubuffet was the guy, the other guy.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah, he did that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that. The different kind of oil and acrylic things resisting each other. And also, I would say there's a sort of stylized thing that I brought to. I wasn't trying to make things look like they were old to make them look cutesy and kitsch. It was actually more like a form of cultural vandalism. It was actually attacking the surfaces of these pictures. That, a lot of the originals were promo photos, and they were really messed up.
Well, let me ask you, I'm going to change the subject just a little bit. And I look at all these, and all of them are either, they're North American, except for, you know, Nick and Keith there. There's a North American, almost all North American, Neil Young's Canadian. They're all sort of American subject matter. Is it, talk about that.
I'm from post-war England. We're obsessed. And an Elvis badge and a Ramones badge.
Maybe say more.
It's like, that's what every kid in kind of growing up in Britain in the 60s, we just thought about America. All our TV was American. You had the people landing on the moon and stuff like that. It's like, wow.
Were you
I gotta
one of
get
those
to
guys
America.
that early on was listening to blues stuff, like in the 60s, were you listening to blues stuff?
No, in the 60s I was probably playing rugby. In the 70s I was listening to glam rock, David Bowie, punk rock, then I was playing it. So. But,
Funny how that's way over there, but Muddy Waters' sister lived around here.
yeah,
Nice.
Muddy Waters, he lives over out west.
Westmont.
Westmont?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously all that stuff, but you know, I say with a lot of the things I put in this show, there's a lot of these were, I do commissions as well. I like people will ask me for a certain person, if it's something that fits and makes sense to me, I'll do painting, and then make prints of that. I also wanted to make some of these, you know, I wanted to make prints, because I couldn't afford my paintings.
That's the goal.
And lots of other musicians, and I wanted to bring music and art together in what I was doing, because that was what was going on in my head. And I wanted things to be affordable, and I like the idea of some kind of, you know, egalitarian nature of that. It wasn't that, I've got friends who are artists who do pretty well, but then some years they don't do very well because the rich guy who comes around and buys their art for 10 grand that hasn't been around that year, and they're kind of struggling. I'd rather.
So are the choices that you make of subject matter based on sort of the demand, or is it what you're thinking about?
Oh, well, this is kind of a mixture. I got commissioned to do some blues, like people in Beverly, so that Robert Johnson and Muddy Waters.
Okay. But you got Hound Dog there.
Oh yeah, no,
He's not a lot of people know about Hound Dog.
oh, I do. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was it. Coming to Chicago, everyone in Britain knows about Chicago as a music.
Yeah, sure.
But no one really knew what Chicago was like. But, I got it.
Yeah,
It's like Manchester. But,
they all say Al Capone.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was there in
Michael Jordan.
1971.
Well, I'm from
Traveling
Wales,
to
and
Europe
everyone
and
goes, oh,
England.
Tom Jones.
And anytime you say you're from Chicago, they go, Al Capone.
I get Tom Jones.
Tom Jones.
Richard Burns.
Yeah, right?
But, I mean, really, I was trying to just have a mixture of all the things I do. I wasn't really sure. I thought this was cancelled actually, until about 3 weeks before that, because everything else I'd done had been cancelled. And then Taylor called me up and said, you can deliver the art in such and such a time. I was going, oh, I didn't know it was still happening.
So I have a question. So these are prints,
Yeah.
correct? How big are the originals then? Are they the same size as the prints? That's what I'm curious about.
The originals, these sizes are the originals mostly. Although they can be, the bigger ones. They can be smaller. Some of that, I don't like to sometimes I get commissions to do things which I can't get my arms around. I don't like that. And I'm a lot, when I have commissions to do big things, I often don't plan it well enough to get a bigger brush. So I start off with the same level of detail I would have on a piece this big, and it's like, oh, this is going to take 6 months to finish this now, because I started on a piece going, well, that's really good, now I've got to do the whole thing, that.
Right.
And I also, the best investment is a bigger brush. I still haven't made that investment.
They do have a Nashville kind of quality to them too. I mean,
Some of these as well, this one was for the Country Music Hall of Fame. They did a really amazing, I didn't was amazingly kind of passionate, scholarly exhibit about Dylan and Cash in the 60s in Nashville. But really what they were trying to do was honour all the musicians. And that really struck a chord when he explained it to me. And they just wanted an image that was going to go with that. So I did that, the Johnny Cash, but that was a quite big thing. And we were driving in with my kids that day of the opening. There was a billboard of it on the highway, like 65 as we came into Nashville. I nearly crashed the car. No one told me. It was like, whoa. But yeah, I mean, I like the challenge of doing commissions. I like to get it away from I'm the genius artist who sits and has inspiration in my garret. You know, I like to apply myself to collaborate with music's very collaborative. Everything you do in music is working with other people. It's a very natural kind of language. I found the way I can collaborate through art is by letting other people be involved in the kind of conception. Maybe not, you know, my band, the Amigos, we have actually sat and painted together. Not necessarily. But I like the idea of other people's ideas being in there. I found the sort of idea of the artist is this kind of genius around it.
I always think artists are more like some kind of goofy guy sitting in his house making stuff. You know, it's sort of like, it's such a non-collaborative thing a lot of times.
Yeah.
You're really just by yourself.
Yeah, I've tried to get away from those. It's hard. It's really hard to get away from that. But I also think of artists and musicians, the similarities of, you know, your work is you're essential to society. You're basically another type of.
Well, Anton?
You should talk to Anton.
Yeah, Anton, tell us a little bit about your illustrious life.
My what of life?
Your illustrious life. You've done a lot.
Oh, I've been around a long time. For me. Been around the block, I guess. Let's see, questions?
What was the first piece of art you ever did? In other words, what was the start, generally?
The start was in the atelier of Prague,
Whoa.
in Charles University. My dad had clay and wax, beeswax, and I would just go, wow, you know, make little things and jab it and make little things. That was the first.
Wow, that's cool. Tactile.
Yeah, and then my grandma had paper, church paper, and I would make little drawings. They're okay, you know, but they're just kind of slapping the, you know, paint on it. So, but I don't know. I was born in 1968. I was to two parents who went to the School of the Art Institute of Chicago.
Wow.
They both got their masters there. My mother got her other masters at IIT in science. My dad doesn't do artwork anymore. He collects Irian giant art from Papua New Guinea.
Wow.
And he has a substantial amount of that. And it's kind of interesting. My mom still does artwork. She has a career. She shows in New York. She does fine, you know.
And it's interesting that your father taught at COD, design and everything.
Yeah, College of DuPage for, I think, 35 years. And he had fun teaching interior design architecture, basic classes, not CAD, computer-aided design, but he just taught, basic how to draft and stuff. So I would learn how to draft too. And I used to draw houses and plans of my house when I was like 7, 8, 9 years old. And buildings and fun stuff. I still got the drawings, and they're fun, I guess. My dad and I used to travel a lot. We went to Maxwell Street in Chicago, and we used to pick up odds and ends and frames and junk, and I was there in the ground. I was picking up bottle caps and everything. And now nowadays you can't do that. You know, it's not there anymore. But it was a lot of fun just going down, listening to blues music. We hung out with Ricardo Molina. He's a blues musician in Seattle now. And he played with Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, Otis Redding, all those guys. And they used to go in Maxwell Street, and in the morning, they would have their gig on Sunday night, and Saturday night and Sunday morning, they would have the hook up into a church, hook up into their amplifiers into in a gas station, in a liquor store, and play the music, and it was beautiful.
Outside.
Outside, rain or shine. If it was cold out, they would be oil drum fires, like heating up their hands and stuff and playing, passing the hat. Women doing a little dance and stuff and having fun. And, it was just amazing. You could find anything there. It was just beautiful. It was a church.
Those are good times in Chicago. It was authentic and real,
Yeah.
gritty.
And it was kind of a church. It was a place where you could pray to the gods of music and the gods of thrift. And, there was also a couple churches around Maxwell Street where there was places where you could go into the Catholic Church and pray and do the thing, and kind of like learn about all that. And, I'm getting sidetracked.
Well, what was nice, what you basically said, two chunks. One is you inherited art, so it's in you.
Oh,
Then
sure.
you know what you said? You said you had art around you, the environment.
Sure.
So you really-
everyone takes in and kind of filters and sees things and absorbs and then explodes onto the canvas. I have a question.
When did you start doing this type of art? Or did you do something before this? Like when you started doing?
I started doing the frames after a show at the Art Institute of Chicago. The frames, it was a frame show back in like '88, maybe. And they just had these enormous, ornate frames from all over the world, Europe and Asia and everything. And it was a frame show. And I said, well, what can I do in the frames? And I looked at the skyline, and I said, well, the skyline is the frame. And the skyline is the frame, and the frame is the skyline, and why not capitalize on the frame and the skyline? Just have fun with it, and then go to Maxwell Street and look for all the stuff on the ground and see what all the little stuff you can find, and pen caps, bottle caps, and resistors, transistors, diodes, and capacitors.
I like the defunct.
Yeah. Thank you.
You like the what?
The defunct technology would
The
be,
defunct technology.
stuff that, my brother would be fiddling around with in the 1960s, becomes out.
I wanna see this thing laid out next year.
A lot of people say they want it to light up, but see, that's contradictory to modern society. Everything's lit up now.
Yeah.
Tokyo Ginza's lit up. Downtown Chicago is kind of like slow right now, but it's lit up. And you got the neon and everything. I had a chance to work at a neon place on Archer Avenue near Harlem on the southwest side. And I kept on walking back and forth, and I said, how can I do neon? That's dangerous. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm too scrawny. Like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to do this. So I started working in my grandpa's basement doing artwork. I was doing hubcaps and cement. And my grandpa's like, what are you buying cement for? Well, I'm doing this thing. And he's like, I had the trash can lids, the old trash can lids, metal ones, and I had little cities and stuff and paint on them and stuff like that. They're gone. I don't know where they are. But it was fun making them anyway, because my grandpa was wondering, like, what was I doing? And he was a Chicago farmer, and he he worked in a lathe factory, and I used to go to the lathe factory, and they had a lead smelting room. And the little old lady from Poland, she made these little pellets. And it was kind of like fishing pellets and stuff, but it was a clamp and a fastener. And then they spun wire in another room. And the guy from Puerto Rico and the guy from Mexico, they spun wire and stuff. Guy chopped off his finger one day because he had the oil and the the water, and he's cutting bars. It's dangerous, you know, it's like, and I used to hang out there in the loft above and had all my art hanging out there. And, I don't know,
So where do you get all those little things that you got in your work?
I look for them.
So where?
Thrift stores, Reuse It store, Habitat for Humanity store. I look for them at any kind of thrift store, garage sales. I have an eye like, you know, like when I get out of a car door, I look to the ground. I don't know why, but I automatically, and I find a bottle cap or something, and sometimes I find like a diode or a capacitor or something fun that's like, it might make it light up, you know, like I'm not there to make it light up. It's, I don't know.
Well, that Maxwell Street must have just been like heaven.
Oh, that was heaven. Baseball cards and all kinds of good stuff,
I
right?
mean, like everything.
Yeah.
So do you go upon like the sandwich, thrift, or what do they call those, thrift store things? What's the thing?
Farmers market.
Farmers market.
No, farmer's market has fruit and vegetables. I don't know.
No, when out in the sandwich at the fairgrounds, they have those, what do they call it, everybody brings their stuff?
Yeah, they have one.
Flea market.
Oh, yeah, I like to go to those, but see, things are getting more expensive now. The kind of stuff I used to find was like, I found TV tubes and like all kinds of really old stuff. And my older work has TV tubes and like all the stuff from the 30s and 40s. And now I can't find like panels for old computers anymore. So like everything's getting like beads and stuff, old beads and whatever. And it's fun, but you know, you gotta like kind of like compromise and work with it.
You need to go to Russia and just start bringing boxes of whole Russia.
I want to go to Chernobyl. I want to go to Chernobyl and play with the animals.
I bet there's a lot of that stuff that you know.
Like me, I clean out my drawers and I
Oh,
put
yeah.
them
Yeah,
He does like
My
fried
husband
greens.
and my husband.
I have quite a few people who give
Giant
me
box from the
stuff.
basement out of his tool room. I got all kinds of stuff that junk. Perfect. And bullets, the brass bullets.
Oh, you want some bullets? I got some bullets.
Oh, I'll pay for
No, I'll just give you some, man.
Yeah.
it. I make jewelry out of it. I make jewelry out of it.
I should have worn my necklace.
Yeah, let me get to you before you leave.
A necklace that he made with.
Yes,
Yeah,
someone's
those-
asking.
Those tubes are starting to get less and less. The only place you got tubes anymore are in really expensive guitar
I
amps.
took apart a TV once and it exploded on me. I was kind of, wow. Whoa.
Really?
Back end, I was looking for the copper.
Oh, yeah.
I unwinded the copper. No one told me. I didn't even do it by myself. And I was like, what am I breathing?
Now, I look at this stuff here, and I'm trying to make rhyme or reason out of it. So could you, this is a good question, you can do it or not. Can you walk over there and just point out a piece? And it's like really all this stuff going on. See if there's any rhyme or reason or a little narrative, a story in there you could explain. Maybe a trip you also went around the world a lot with Tony Fitzpatrick. Maybe that feeds into it.
And my father took me to Germany. Jürgen Kriege, and Jürgen Kriege was the Bürgermeister of Baltimore. And we went to the capital here and Deutschland, and this is the old communist East flag. The story is they have like a little wolf in the baby. You know, oh, here's the wolf. And it's kind of like fun and whatever. And I have a little baseball card. And that's kind of a tribute to the baseball player. And this is a tribute to my friend who is an artist, who is Jahari Alawi Thompson. He's joining the military to pay off his art school debt. He owes like $60,000. This is guns and guns and guns and guns and guns. You know, it's like maybe to protect your home if you live in rural community or whatever. But women, important. This is a tribute to Mika Trin. Mika Trin was my boss for 10 years at a Vietnamese restaurant I worked at in Glen Ellen called Mika's Restaurant. We went to Vietnam 5 times with her orphanage organization, and she was so influential and so peaceful. She put up with me. Oh man! And I went to Hanoi and Saigon and Rakia, and I swam the Mekong. Oh, that's pretty dirty. You know, you see like a carcass floating by, and you're like, oh. But I had my shots.
You're still here.
This is Vietnam, Ha Long Bay. That's a tribute to that. This is baseball bat. Baseball bat. What's that? That new, kind of new. Let's see. What's it called? I can't remember. But it's a popular comic kind of like thing with the millennials, where they have a baseball bat. Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn. That's for the young. This is for the younger people. Harley Quinn. They would know what that is, but I barely do. This is just a mask and a face. Now you know. This is Christ in the church. It's like, I think me going to a lot of churches when I was a kid was basically like we went to Notre Dame and like basilicas and like everywhere. My dad, and we're at the St. Peter's, and my dad's wearing shorts, and I'm going like this, you know, like what's going on, you know? And they take him to a back alley, and they give him a robe like a priest, and he's wearing a robe. He's going, oh, this is the way we do it, you know. And I was like, okay. And then we look at all the beautiful frescoes. And then this is just a monolith. It's very simple. It's kind of like, what's it called, Rapa Nui, or Easter Island. My dad's been to Rio many times. And this is kind of tribute to Rio de Janeiro, because, you know, it's kind of like just a fun thing to do. This is very sad to me, this one, because this is the slave ship, the Marlborough slave ship. And the conquistadorish kind of people who forced slavery in the triangle in the Atlantic, you know, the triangle with goods and stuff, and it's just so sad. And now we travel in planes, you know, and it's kind of like a pun on that.
That's very good. You know why? A lot of the Africans that are coming over here, they're flying in.
Oh, sure.
And some of them, like Ethiopia, Liberia, Sudan, the ambassador said, when you get your education, we need you. You can fly back. So that is the ship of slavery, and yet...
There's an artist named Abaji Nayambi. He's in Chicago. He does great art. Like, I'd like to, you know, like give you his number sometime. He does newspaper and figure drawings with newspaper stuff that is really unbelievable. Maybe you know him. He's like really fantastic. This is right up, kind of like an explosion of a city, like, city. And this is Ellis Island. This is like personal to me because all of my family came in Ellis Island during the teens and 20s. And it has all my family names on there, and it's just like, come on, you know, kind of fun. Another baseball bat, Bill Beck, Branch Rickey, Simon Boston, people I looked up to when I was younger, and they're just fabulous. This is Polynesian Princess. I went out with a girl who was Samoan and Greek. Her dad went from, he was a Greek merchant, and he went to Samoa and met his wife, and they settled in Chicago, on the northwest side. I can't believe it. And in Chicago. So this is my grandmother's church, and my grandmother's church is in Elkhorn, West Virginia, and that's an Russian Orthodox church that went, and the stairway and the pews were built by my Grandpa Nicholas, who I'm named after in my middle name. Other Christian piece, God, everything, saints, God, everything. You know, saints, God, everything is kind of like the whole shebang. And then Chet Baker, I personally like him a lot because I've been into jazz lately, and jazz has really got me going, and it's really mellow and stuff like that, and that's just kind of like his tragic end, and he's from Oklahoma, and he was just a really genuine guy, you know, and that's all.
Before we go, I'd like to say something, because I just wanted to get my 2 cents. I heard a lot of, like, when people said computer art, they were going, and I have to show them my digital stuff upstairs. So I want to defend that.
The software is a lot better.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I started doing that computer art, I had opened that thing up and I had never really thought about that. I was actually against it. And a buddy of mine said, you should get one and try it. And when I did, it was like a box of wonders. So I didn't see it as a way toward anything. I just saw it as a way to something new. So I just have always treated it like a kid. Like I just play with it. I play with the computer. I'm not trying to make anything. I'm never trying really to make anything. I kind of let the computer help me make stuff, and I have fun with it. So that's in defense.
Monica and I went up there, and we're looking at your art, and I said to her, we were saying we really liked it, and I said, yeah, I usually don't like computer art. Like, it was just our conversation. I really like it. The pieces, and it seems like you're ahead of the game. Like, the year that you started doing it, you were way ahead of the game.
At 92, yeah.
Yeah, we liked it.
So when I got that Amiga computer that I was working at in 92, they had them in England, Amigas, they used those all the time. I just started playing like a kid. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just started doing what I could.
Well, one of your pieces up there was rather large.
Yeah.
So you broke through that being that.
And over time, I got bigger and more.
So you're free in size, and then I don't know if there's a rosette. There's some pieces that are just free floating.
Yeah.
So what you did is you took an old concept of letting it speak to you and you speak to it, not dictating rigidly where it goes, which a lot of art is. So I think you took this aesthetic that we all follow and put it into that, and that's why, boom, it worked.
Well, I would be more like Brian Eno, you know, thinking in terms of the machine as being an extension rather than the machine being like, it's just an instrument.
Yeah.
It's a visual instrument, but it really is kind of like a musical instrument too. when you're making computer art, there's some similar thing to what you do when you're making.
You androids dream of electric sheep and like Blade Runner and like what we are living in modern-ness now. And I think the importance of don't be cold and retain stories and share personal experiences with everyone is the most important thing we can do for the youth of this world. Yeah.
That's the point I made with I like what Michael, Baby Boy, was saying about his stuff. I think it's a conversation and a collaboration. You make something, and it's like, I'm not going to be, you know, this is what this means, and you should know what it means. It's what it means is whatever you want to mean. It's a conversation. I like coming out and saying, well, my influence was places like this. I wanted sort of venue, people to actually interact with my work, and that's like musicians get that. You know, we go out and play in clubs, and it's great. And you have an instant reaction. Sure. It's really hard, but again, artists isolate. It's very hard for an artist to get
That's what
feedback.
makes art, is emotion and emotion.
Yeah, but to get the two-way street, you know, that's what.
Well, that's kind of what the nice thing about doing the digital stuff is that I did, over COVID, I did over 200 pieces. of digital work. And I was posting them on Facebook every day. So
Yeah.
for me, it was just like what you're talking about with a musician playing to a crowd of people. But I was just sending the art out every day, just as a way to keep connecting. You know?
I've got an artist friend in England at the moment. He's just had major brain surgery, and they've given him about 6 months to live. He's a fantastic artist, and he's producing a piece of art every day instantly and puts it out on Instagram. And every day you look at it, he makes a different piece of art every day. And his eyesight's failing, but he's just like, I'm just going to keep doing it. And it's like amazing. He's kind of basically making art that's about his life and people that have been important to him. The images are beautiful, and it's so powerful. But it's almost, and he gets feedback, he gets instant feedback.
Yeah.
You can write back to him and talk to him. Yeah.
It's interesting that you're talking about being locked in, but these situations are, you're being opened up. So once again, it's that dialogue between two opposites, and through those two opposites, something really good comes
I've
about.
stopped posting on Facebook lately because of the rights issue.
Oh, yeah.
The rights issue. They were like, wait a second, they're gonna take my stuff and like haul off and like make, I'm making $10, they're gonna make 100?
Well, the only thing about that, just as to give you a little, consolation, that when you put a thing on Facebook, it makes it into a really bad JPEG at 72 DPI.
Yeah,
So they can't do anything with it. It's hardly anything.
Okay.
So it's such a bad image that you couldn't make a poster out of that. If you did, it'd have to be this big because printing requires 300 DPI.
But is the technology gonna get better for them?
It can't get any better. That would be creating a new piece because
Well, that's what's nice about your work, you're able to make them big.
I'm able to make.
And so, because I hate it when you can go to that, I like Anton's small, intimate pieces that he has to show. And so and some of these pieces are intimate, but it is nice to open it up.
Those little ones, the reason they're that big is because it was 1992, and my computer had 32 megabytes of RAM hard drive and 2 megabytes of RAM.
Now you know why he's so free. He has a vocabulary.
It was just, so. Yeah. So I think, to a certain extent, what we've all been talking about is the same thing. It's heart and soul and all that stuff.
It's hard to what?
It's heart and soul.
Yes.
This is heart and soul stuff. It's not.
And everything's getting mass produced beyond Warhol, and everything is getting a little bit cold. And so art, these bright colored pieces, they do have a certain warmth to them.
Have you heard of Cocoa Face?
Cocoa Face.
On your phone stuff, Facebook and Instagram? Cocoa Face is unbelievably great. He's got this weird name I don't really like, but man, look up Cocoa Face.
Is it
He's
an
good.
artist?
He's like from LA. He's great.
Well, I think we've.
I like some of the artists that are here.
I'd like to say one thing.
Okay.
I helped Steve hang the shows. This show was so fun to hang. We didn't have to be stiff about it, we didn't have to do it like most galleries do. We just had fun.
I was so pleased when I walked in.
Yeah, it was
Sometimes
so
I've had
fun,
my
and
show
it was the
put up in
quickest
there.
show we've ever hung.
They spaced it up.
The quickest show we've ever hung.
Did you use a ruler at all?
What I do is, I come in first and I put a string line at 60 inches and that's the middle one. And the center of a Kingston head.
So everything floats around that 60
And then floats around that.
And then we take this stuff, she takes this stuff down and the lights go on and we don't know where it's at. But everything floats around that line, so it works really well.
Great job.
We'll have a picture come down.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.